Welcome to another oil painting video. This painting was actually started with acrylic, so even though I say oil painting, we are going to paint over top of an acrylic underpainting. So I drew this out initially with a soft pastel. So let me go ahead and play that footage for you here. So this was about an hour's worth of drawing and moving things around this morning before starting the stream today. So what you'll see today will be all oil painting. But anyway, the composition it's kind of important for me to place the head relative to the hand. As you can see there, I wiped it out, then I placed it back in there using simple straight lines and angles. Remember that this new series of videos is more about the painting than it is about any kind of tutorial, but always feel free to ask me any questions you have. Hey Gigi. So now you see how kind of second guessing somewhat with the placement of things, so I go a little bit softer with the touch. So if you want to do something more realistic with your paintings, spend a little bit more time with the drawing. I took an hour this time to do just the drawing, so definitely take all the time that you need with something like this. And we got the angle of the eyes, and still I'm going to adjust the drawing for the forehead, as you see there. This is all fresh on my mind because this was literally this morning. Now I'm just using a straight edge, and that's going to be the horizon line. So this is Moonlight portrait composition. So these are some rocks. And right here, I decided to add a wolf. So we're going to have a wolf in the bottom left quadrant, kind of looking up towards the model's hand. We're going to play with some idea of something maybe on the top left, but I eventually took it out. Now I'm going in with the acrylic and I'm filling in the outlines. Again, if you're going to take your time with something, be a little bit more cautious with the drawing. It just makes it a little bit easier. It depends on the aesthetic. If I'm going for something that is kind of more loose and expressive, then I won't go through the trouble to do this. But with this one, I am. Hey, Lady Death. Oh no, it's a different one, Gigi. It's a different one. This one is Moonlight. And now you see the placement of the hands. That brush is actually a watercolor brush that has paint inside of it. It's a pretty neat invention. I'll show it to you after we finish this up, if I can even find where I put that brush. Actually, it's in the living room. Never mind. But you've probably seen brushes like that have water inside of them. You just press down and it adds more water. And now I switched, so that one was only for the outlines. So I switched brushes to a bigger one, and I'm filling in raw umber with a little bit of black. But disregard the colors because I do pre-mix the acrylics ahead of time. So now we're filling in some of the lights. To do a proper underpainting, we want to have as much of the drawing figured out. Hey Celeste, welcome. Nah, it's a wolf. It's not Hugo. Hugo does look kind of like a wolf, but no, it's not him. When I do paint Hugo with the model, it'll probably be with Lucy, but not with some random made-up model. Now we have the pointer finger. We're filling in the darks. No, this is acrylic. I have not done any oil paint yet. This is this morning. So it's been about 2 hours or so. I don't know that this has been sitting. I used the blow dryer to accelerate the drying. So this is not oil paint yet, even though the video says oil paint. Most of today will be oil painting. I decided to slow this time lapse down a little bit more so you can see. But that's all. So that's 4 minutes compressed, or that's 1 hour compressed into 4 minutes. So now here we are, real time. Let me explain the colors on the palette. I have switched back to my handheld palette because I'm going to be standing and painting a lot today, so I'm going to be working mainly over here. I rather have a handheld palette. Let me explain the colors to you, though you won't see any mixtures, but some of you are curious about the colors that I use. So I've got titanium white, lemon yellow, cadmium yellow deep, Indian yellow, burnt sienna, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, that is a terra vert mixed with a little bit of cadmium yellow, cadmium green, cerulean blue, phthalo blue, ivory black. I may add a little bit of magenta to paint in some of the dark of the background. Undecided about that. Thanks, Gigi. So as you know, there has been some construction going on, and it's kind of obnoxious. So I've got earplugs, not earplugs. I got some wireless headphones on, and I'm just gonna play music while I'm painting because the past couple days trying to paint through that noise has been driving me crazy. So I'm pretty sure you don't want me to go too crazy. So as a result, I won't talk as much, and if it gets really bad, unfortunately I have to silence the audio. I'm already prepared ahead of time, so nobody is asking, is the audio shut off? You'll know the audio will be off, but construction won't be forever, hopefully. And like I said, these are more about the painting than they are about any kind of tutorial. So let me go ahead and start to mix some paint now. I'll explain what mixtures I'm using. I'm going to go at it piece by piece, just like I did yesterday. So I'm going to work on the face for probably the first hour or so, and move around here towards the hands, the drapery. Eventually we'll make it to the wolf and all that stuff. But anyway, so I'm going to mix my dark black, alizarin. So this is going to be my dark. I'm going to throw in a little bit of a green. So this will be my dark. The noise is not so bad right now, so but it was horrible this morning. Alright, so this is burnt sienna, green, alizarin, Indian yellow. I took off raw umber because I mainly used it as a drawing color, and since we're not going to do any drawing in oil paint, I decided best to just take it off. So I'm pre-mixing these little segments of color on the palette, and then when we actually go into the forms for the face, I will switch to the smaller brushes. A little bit of light, titanium white. I don't have lead white on here because it's already somewhat pre-mixed into the titanium white. So I do have lead white, but it's mixed into the titanium white. So that's a little bit kind of maybe too complicated to say at first, but yes, it is lead white with a little bit of titanium white. So I'm not actually sure of the consistency. This is probably, as you see, it's kind of thick. So this is probably somewhat like 60% lead white, and I have the walnut oil lead white that I'm using for that. But still, I'll just call it titanium white because it's got titanium white in it. Now I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to switch to the smaller brushes. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Maitha. Thank you. You said that those are here if you don't know, with the closed caption. Oh, okay, so closed caption will be there the next day. Oh, cool, cool. Thank you for the super chat, mate, though. Really appreciate it. Now, with the sable brushes, I'm going to go ahead and work on the dark shapes. I'm using part reference, part imagination, but in the beginning it's kind of mostly reference. Then I start to add some imagination. So the past couple days have been landscapes. Tomorrow, since Fridays are a little bit shorter, we'll probably... Wait, what did I say? They've been portraits. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the past couple days have been portraits, or just figurative stuff. So tomorrow will likely be a landscape or a still life. Probably a landscape, because still life actually takes just as long as something figurative. Landscape can be done much faster. Or we may take that day off. It depends on how I'm feeling with this noise. Hey Hamza. Welcome. And yeah, everybody at some point I'm gonna get fed up with that noise, and I'll shut the audio off and I'll just paint. I don't know yet when. I am standing, so it's a little bit easier for me to move around. Only problem is my whole setup is set up for me sitting, so I gotta look down to see the comments. But anyway, feel free to ask me anything. This is number 21, right, of the series. A little bit of cadmium red. You might actually be able to see what I'm mixing here with the handheld palette. Cerulean blue. I only have one still life. No, I have two still lives. I have one outdoor still life, and then the Celeste still life, the indoor one, the classical one. We got two still lives. We do have one outdoor still life. But there's been so many paintings in this series, it's hard to keep track. It is kind of hard to keep track. Most of these have been figurative. Adding a little bit of green to this dark. The title, Celeste Still Life. Oh yeah, we could always change the title. Nothing's really set in stone with the titles. It's only really going to be set in stone when it's in some kind of exhibit somewhere, and even then it can always change. And now I'm going to stand back. So yeah, this is how I approach a more refined still life, or not still life, just oil painting in general. Work my way from these darks. And thank you so much for all the support on these streams. It's been really awesome. I will say one thing though, this week in particular with that noise, any professional producer would tell me not to do this because of that noise. Any professional producer would not tell me to stream under these circumstances. That's way too pink. Let's throw that over here for now. Save it for later. Save this for later. No problem, Celeste. It's no problem. Yeah, I came up with this concept for this Moonlight painting right when I woke up in the morning. For some reason I dreamt about a wolf, and then you know me just wanting to get out of the city. I decided a seascape background would be appropriate. First of all, go back into the background and fix something. It's a little drawing thing. I've got this too far out. There goes my head blocking the view. That's actually going to move the mouth a little bit over to the right. Important adjustment to the drawing. This is going to get moved over when I get into color for the face. Oh, it's just yeah, with the background noise, it's tough on some viewers. It's also tough on me. Just trying to like sound somewhat intelligent while dealing with that noise. It's kind of stressful. So if and when it gets to that point, I'll silence the audio. Or I'll just leave it on, I don't know. But I've got headphones on, so I'm not 100% in explaining mode with that noise. And poor Hugo, man. Yesterday I took him on a car ride for like an hour or so. And I didn't take him on a car ride today. That noise must be super annoying to him. I mean, I definitely considered not streaming. Not because I didn't want to, but just to take Hugo somewhere for the day. Little portraits are tough, but it helps when you do a underpainting. Working on this gray tone is much easier. But again, I'm really, appreciative of those of you that are sticking through these streams despite that noise. Now, that means I've got too much titanium white. Oh well. When it jumps that light, that bright so fast. quickly blocked in those dark shapes, the mask of the face. Oh, so the new one's doing well on Instagram? Well, that's good. That's funny. I haven't really had too many notifications. Okay, now start working our way to the light. Basically same brush in it. Because this composition has a lot more stuff in it, I won't spend as long on the face today. Though the face is important. Alright, now we'll add some cool lights. Yes, this is Moonlight. A little bit of lemon yellow. Oh, you said you were first like on the umbrella. Cool. Thank you, thank you. alizarin is perfect for this shape, almost pretty much with every portrait. For the tear duct, it's kind of a predictable thing. And for the nostril, though sometimes that has different colors in it. My goodness, it feels like even with the headphones, that stuff is loud. So let me know. I have the ability to shut the audio off. Like I said, it's not like I can talk much throughout this sound and maintain my sanity. So let me know. You want me to shut it off? I will. And apparently the closed captions will be a thing after the stream. So that's good to know. worries too, but I'm just saying because I won't be talking as much through the noise. Okay, no problem. Only dog design. With these smaller spaces, I'm one brushing it, so switching with one brush because I'm not moving very much to big shapes. Moonlight. A little bit more blue. And there's going to be more light here because she's actually her hand's going to be glowing. It's another part of this concept. Oh, that's good, Gigi. Yeah, they have slowed down, thank goodness. They have slowed down. You said if your hand is blowing, does that mean you have to do a cast shadow on her face? Oh, you mean glowing? No, no. I'm making the glow part up, so I'm gonna omit a cast shadow. I mean, I might add it later, but again, it's not something that's part of the reference, it's something that I have to come up with. But yeah, in theory, if this hand's glowing, there should be a cast shadow from here, maybe onto here, in theory. You see why with these compositions I have to start with a drawing. There's just too much involved in it. It's just a different look. Yeah, I know you meant glowing. thanks, Gigi. It's kind of something I've always wanted to do. The live format, even though live stream's not really that novel anymore, it's everybody does it, but it helps me, and I mentioned this on Instagram. It helps me feel like someone else is in the studio with me. But also, when we exhibit these paintings, I want to be able to attribute a particular video to it. Yeah, it's more freeing for me. It's just not that usual head and shoulders. Though I do like that 30-minute exercise. I do have another one that I showed briefly for a break time video. I'll probably upload it on Saturday. Since I don't stream Saturday and Sunday, I still paint, but I don't stream it because I spend time with Lucy. So I don't have the full day to paint. Thanks for all the likes, everybody. And the super chat really helps with the channel. Okay. Oops, there goes my shoulder blocking everything. So that's good enough. Suggestion of a face. I'll do a whole lot more to it later. Now we gotta work around the face. Yeah, it helps with the channel or gas. I try not to drive around too much. Try not to drive too much. There's gonna be some things in her hair eventually. Okay, now some shapes for the neck. Now we're going to add a sleeve. Since I'm going to be working a little bit lower now. Let's not do that yet. Let's paint the hand. Some shapes for the hands. Then we'll go to town on the drapery. An elephant with allergies. Oh man. Let's add some shapes for the hand. Starting with the darks first. Now we're getting real classical, but with a hint of modern with these paintings. Hint of current times with the wolf. Or not. It could just be all classical. I don't know. Who knows? Oh, there goes Lucy calling me. I can't get a break, y'all. Can't get a break. Hey, on YouTube, what happened? Yep. Okay, luckily it wasn't an emergency. Streams are so unpopular, not even my wife remembers my schedule. That goes to show you. Anyway, her finger's gonna be glowing here, but I'm not gonna get to that just yet. I just want some shapes for the hand. whenever I have to make something up, I try to do the most I can with the real thing before I make something up. Let's just add that light. I don't know what I'll do with it just yet, but I know where it's gonna go. Kind of like a candle. I'll figure out what to do with it later. It'll probably just be some kind of glow. Some kind of glow. Figure it out as we go. Alright, now I can move down. And now I'll sit. Gonna move a little bit lower on the composition. Put my palette down. Okay, so now towards the sleeve. So I'm going to paint the sleeve over here. Thanks for the Venmo, Gigi. Thank you, thank you. Appreciate it. Helps with the stream and or gas. And it helps with the price of eggs. Thank you, Gigi. Okay, now I'll switch to a slightly bigger brush. So that's a good place to be in the first hour. This is going to be a warm yellow. On the lights, and then it'll have some hints of blue for the moonlight. Zoom you out now. It critiques the paint. AI critiques the painting. That's a nightmare. AI critiquing paintings. That is a nightmare. Well, I guess it makes sense. AI is critiquing grammar. Well, that's kind of a grammar is kind of more straightforward, though. Then this will change hues to the blue. Take us right towards the wolf. Okay, we'll take a break in a second here. I'll just paint till I get completely tired out from that noise. I'll probably start with the wolf when I come back. That'll cheer me up with all that noise. But thanks for the super chats, everyone. And the Venmos. It really helps. Helps cheer me up as well. This noise is driving me insane. this is somewhat decent of a stopping point for the first hour and 10 minutes. Of course, like I said before, we did do a underpainting in acrylic before this. Try to expedite the process. Okay. Good time to take a break. When I return, we may work on the wolf, and maybe throw in some stuff for the environment, and then just go back to subtleties. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another episode of the 30-minute portrait painting challenge. Today we're working on a 9 by 12 inch cotton canvas that has been prepared with oil paint ahead of time. We're mixing on a wet layer of oil paint as usual with this technique. So as you can see with the finished result on the left, we went for a very kind of like centered pose, a little bit closer to centered, but a little bit 3/4. So we're seeing some of the turn of the face. But anyway, let's explain what's going on here. So this is all real time. There are no edits involved with this video, just voiceover. I decided to do this exercise without talking while painting, which usually makes me more efficient when I don't have to explain while I'm painting. So today's painting is a little bit better than the last time, but what I'm doing here is trying to build the mask of the face. Now the palette is a very simplified palette. It's got pretty much 3 yellows, 3 reds, say 2 blues, and maybe 2 browns. But what we have here is a very simple skin tone, and we're using the same skin tone but applying different pressure on the brush. So when you're working wet into wet, different pressure creates different values, even if you're just using one mixture on the brush. Now, if you can optimize that, then you have saved yourself hundreds of hours worth of mixing little tiny gradations on your palette. Now, this is by no means supposed to be the only way to paint a portrait. There's also a tiling method where you paint every single gradation, every single plane change. Every plane change is a color change and all that stuff. But this is more of an exercise in paint handling and basically just reacting to the paint and trying to see how we can optimize each step. So as we're painting the mask of the face here, you see that with the same brush I added a little bit of a reddish tone, and that's for the left side of the face relative to us, and a little bit by the eye socket there. See how I'm kind of blending that out a little bit by the eye socket and by the cheekbones, and we put it on the concavity of the eye socket on the right side relative to us, and we're using this to kind of blend out the mask of the face. Now what this does is it allows us to build the subtleties of the mask of the face without having to do too much filling in. What I'm doing is I'm preparing the surface of the big planes of the face such that I can go in with a dark brush, preferably starting with the eyebrows, working towards the eyes, the nose, and then ultimately you'll see a neat little trick that we'll use when we paint the mouth. One important thing to mention here is I did get a question about can these methods be done with water mixable oil paints, and yes, I do believe that they can be done with water mixable oil paints, but please note that the paint is traditional oil paint, and it's going to be much thicker and more saturated than water mixable oil paints. So that means that you're going to have to use more paint with the water mixable oil paints than with the traditional. But you can do this same exact method. You just have to use more paint. Now we're going to add a little bit of red underneath of the cheek here. And this technique cannot be used with anything fast drying like watercolor or acrylic or gouache. My apologies for that. This is just a different technique. It requires the paint to be wet the entire time. Now that reddish shape underneath of the nose and the cheekbones, when I was painting this, I was not really thinking about anything other than what the shape of the cheekbone looks like structurally relative to the jaw. So rather than kind of just look at lines and measurements for the face, I was looking at, well, the jawbone looks a little bit, I want to say weaker relative to the cheekbone. And by weaker, I don't mean weak in the sense of a lack of power. I mean just smaller, less mass, I guess less density to it. So you see that the cheekbone is going to be thicker, more angular, and the jawbone is going to be a little bit softer. Kind of like a Bouguereau is what we're going for. Now this is by no means supposed to be a method of which how we can create a commission portrait or a perfect likeness of a model. This is reacting to shapes. Now you see underneath of that dark reddish shape, we have added a little bit of light for the cheekbone. And that area is actually going to be a little bit cooler. And the way we achieve that color is by just letting the tone of the canvas, the oil paint tone, just mix with the paint that we already had. Now you see that dark shape for the cheekbone, I keep talking about it, that dark shape for the cheekbone is going to be something we are eventually going to chop into, just like a sculpture. But we're leaving that very strong plane change so that we can cut into it. Now we're adding a little bit more light with some red. And basically what I did was just add a little bit of cadmium red to the brush. Like I said, the traditional oil paints are going to be a little stronger than the water mixable, so you're going to have to use more of it. Not that you can see the palette anyway, but just know that it is possible with the water mixable. It's just going to be a little different. Now we're adding in a little bit of a light with some red to it for the reflected light on the left side of the eye relative to us. A little bit of a goal with this exercise is to not have to change anything. That is, not have to repaint any areas, but just let each layer build upon the subsequent layers. Now, it's a very tough thing to do. It's mentally taxing to paint this way. So 30-minute windows are pretty good. Going over 30 minutes, you may want to take a break because you're going to end up second guessing things. So now you see we've built a little bit of light for the forehead. And these are bristle brushes. I'm using mainly Silverbrush Grand Prix. Just because of space concerns, I'm not able to clean my brushes. like I used to, so I just keep them in a container of linseed oil. The canvas itself is toned with oil paint and a mixture of safflower oil and spike lavender, though you can just thin it out with your mineral spirits and just cover it with oil paint. It would be just fine. Now you're seeing we're sculpting out the plane for the frontal ridge of the skull. And this is a very sculptural approach. Alrighty, I have returned. Feel a little bit better. Played some Nintendo Switch. Try to calm down from the annoyance of this background noise. So I feel a little bit better now. And let's go ahead and continue on with this painting. I said I would return and paint the wolf, so let me do that. I've got some copyright-free references, but I'm going to be changing things up here and there. I don't have my headphones on because it makes it kind of difficult to talk with the headphones on. Try it out sometime if you are a teacher or have a job where you have to like talk to people. Just kind of talking with headphones on is kind of a little difficult. But I'd say talking with this background noise is worse. But the show must go on. Hey, the Bertas. That break time video, that the start of that 30-minute portrait, I will upload it for you all as a complete video tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, never mind. I thought today was Friday for a second. I'm going to upload it on Saturday. Tomorrow will be potentially a landscape. Or I might just do a standalone face. I don't know. The standalone faces can be done kind of quickly, as you saw the 30-minute portrait. But if you want something more realistic, I also have a more realistic face that I've been working on for a future upload. I'm thinking a little bit of Caravaggio as I paint this. I don't know why, but I guess the chiaroscuro, the extreme light and dark. But we're gonna have some light back here eventually, though it's still gonna be probably close to this value. Crazy that we're on number 21 of these paintings. Crazy, crazy. The all-powerful wolf. Oof. Every time I make a brush stroke, like I can kind of hear this poor brush taking a beating. I may have to find some kind of like happy in the middle approach to having an underpainting like this, but maybe put something over it, like maybe something like this. Though I don't want to. I'll show you the linseed oil spike lavender mix like this. Okay, so it's not so good for this brush, but probably do it with a different brush. But I'm gonna have to figure out a way to do this. So now this is coated with spike lavender, linseed oil, tad bit of Gamsol. Let's see if it sounds any different. It kind of doesn't. There they go again. I'm gonna send my wolf over to destroy those construction workers. Though I don't advocate violence, but that noise might warrant some imaginary wolf howling at them, at least. Alright, yeah, the headphones are coming back on. Tried to talk a little bit more, but this just stresses the daylights out of me. 5 Below Bluetooth headphones. Not sponsored by anyone, but from 5 Below. They last pretty decent amount of time. And with these Bluetooth headphones, I have purchased more expensive ones at like $100, and I always end up losing them anyway. So kind of works out anyway. Yeah, we can call the watercolor part of the series, even though it's not an oil painting. I mean, it's done kind of in the same. I don't know. We'll make an exception for that watercolor. Alright, headphones are on, so I won't be talking as much. That sound is annoying me. The only problem with those headphones, those Five Below headphones, are that they are not noise canceling. Yeah, this is really bad, This is like right on top of my head. So I may end this one early if you don't like when I turn the audio off. I may just end it early. We may continue this one tomorrow. Well, the funny thing about that is art is kind of suffering in a way. In a way, it is. That's why they call it artwork. I mean, the headphones help. The headphones definitely help. Of course, but there's no guarantee tomorrow will be silent, so I don't know. But the good news is I will continue to paint on, even if this one is not finished today. This one was kind of ambitious to take on. Honestly, this one's more difficult than the one with the horse. because the drawing is much more important because the human, right? Anytime there's a human, it complicates things. But thanks for that, Gigi. Yeah, I've been here a lot, but the sound does cause some issues. Hey Randy, this is oil paint. Yep, at this point, yep. I started it in acrylic for the underpainting. That's decent for the wolf. Now we know that the wolf is there. I would do something for the background. looks almost like a submarine. This little, whatever this is, rock. Now, right, the hair goes this far down. I might be able to see the reference to John William Waterhouse here. I'm going to add magenta to the palette. Now, if I had something like Neo McGilp or Liquin, I would use it. But as it is, I ran out of it. And all I have is my safflower oil mix. So that's what I'll use. Don't want to sacrifice a good brush, so I'll use a throwaway brush. That's magenta and phthalo blue. That's alright for the background now. Sorry I didn't talk you through too much of it. Definitely a glow coming from up here somewhere. And you can see it kind of creating this main diagonal for the composition. Hey John M. Welcome, welcome. So a very different kind of lighting than the daylight paintings I've been doing. No, I can't because I've had issues with copyright-free references on the internet. Plus, I've made up the background and some of the face. So it's a little different. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, John. I've had issues with the copyright-free references. I don't know how the other YouTube painters don't get issues with it, but it's not like all of my videos have had that problem. It's just the few that have really set me back big time. No worries, John. Said he earned a BA in art 2007. Well, hopefully one of these videos will inspire you to pick up a pencil or a brush. These are long format, so I'm hoping that people will be able to work on their own paintings or drawings while playing these videos. Well, you're always welcome here. The schedule with these videos is Monday through Friday, 1:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Though the past 2 days have been 1:45, but around 1:30. This series of videos is my creating paintings to sell and to do prints of and things like that. So it's a little more than just a tutorial style video. But I'll still do tutorial style videos. I know that's what most of you want to see anyway. So on the weekends, or in case I have to miss a day on the weekdays. Yeah, the camaraderie is kind of a big deal. I missed that too. I moved to a very artless area, so I know what you mean. So one of the big motivators for me to do these videos is to create that atmosphere, camaraderie type atmosphere. Not just for myself, but for others too. I miss my friends from art school. I doubt they watched the videos, but I did have a lot of them. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. You said 5% stayed in art, the others went to other things. Yeah, that happened with my art school friends too, except I think I'm the only one that stayed in art. I think I am. There might be one Mark Patcham illustrator. I hope he's still illustrating. Alright, we're gonna take another break soon. It's the second hour. He said security would lock you in the art department. Oh yeah, the all-nighters for the studio midterms and finals. I remember that. I will admit I don't think I've ever pulled an all-nighter. But I remember my art school buddies. Yeah, I remember that. It's kind of a rite of passage, a college rite of passage is the all-nighter. So I don't think I ever did pull an all-nighter. Such fond memories. Okay, so that's a good place to take a break. I'm going to take a break now. We will return and continue to develop this painting. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another break time quick 5 to 7 minute oil painting. This is just a gessoed piece of wood. It was gessoed with acrylic gesso, and now I have added a thin coat of raw umber and black using a mixture of safflower oil and spike lavender. Now we are going to use the alla prima technique to paint a 5 to 7 minute eye. We're going to start off with white. This is going to create a sphere for us. And this is going to be the eye socket area right here. And down here is going to be the corner of the eye. This is the edge of the eye socket, and now we have the entire shape for the eye socket. The tear duct will be about here. Next thing we will do is go and get the dark brush. This is going to be just black and raw umber right here. So this is going to be our tear duct. black and raw umber. This is going to be the end of the eye, and this is going to be the iris. Very simple iris shape there. And now we're going to put in the bottom plane of the upper eyelid, lower eyelid, and the top of the lower eyelid. Very simple, iconic looking eyeball shape. Next, we are going to go in with the light back towards the top of the eye, and this will give us the eyebrow right above. Nice and easy. So there's a quick little eyebrow. The tear duct is going to pick up some light, and this creates the tear bag area. And you want to work with a decent amount of paint so that you can apply different value changes, as you're seeing there, just by modifying how much pressure you put on the brush. So this is the tear duct here. See how it gets lighter? Less pressure will make this less light. And now we're going to have a little bit of light picking up on the top plane of the upper eyelid as it starts to curve around the back side of the eye there. We'll also pick up a little bit of light on the upper eyelid, and we'll also pick up a little bit of light on the top of the eye socket, which is going to create a nice gradation here. And these are just cheap pieces of wood that were gessoed with Liquitex acrylic gesso. They're cheap pieces of wood that are perfect for doing oil painting sketches such as this one. And less pressure is going to make this less bright as we work all the way towards the back side of the eye, finishing the first pass for this eye. Next thing we are going to do is add more light to the top, giving us close to our brightest light. And you can paint this in 5 to 7 minutes at home for practice. Simple practice. Now a little bit of light for the sclera. Remember, the sclera, the white of the eye, is not white, but rather some type of middle value. Now this painting is of course going to be in monochrome, meaning we're not going to add any values. But if you want to add, color, it's going to be in monochrome, which means we're not adding any color. But if you want to add color, you certainly can. But you see how much you can do without any need of color. And see how you can create this little gradation here with just white, black, and umber. And now we're going to add our darkest dark, which is going to be raw umber with a little bit of black for the pupil right there. And depending on the model, there may be some darker eyelashes, so we can add those eyelashes. The dark for the eyelashes here. And it all depends on the model. And we can adjust the eyebrows with the same brush, wet into wet. Depending on if the model has thick eyebrows, soft eyebrows, it's up to you. You can create whatever eyebrows you want. And what I want you to do is, if you can help me out and do this 5 to 7 minute study on Instagram, post it with a hashtag yuparitheartist. And this is the final light. Like I said, that's going to be the brightest light. And that is your 5 to 7 minute simple alla prima wet on wet eye. I hope you enjoyed this break time painting video. Alrighty, let's continue this here. Let's see what did I miss. You're double majoring in studio art, digital design. You only had to take a senior project, a math, a foreign language, but you didn't go back. No worries, you never know really how life is gonna pan out. A lot of my friends from art school that didn't continue on their art school path or their artist path, they're doing alright. I mean, they're not doing art as a career anymore, but they do it on the weekends. And to me, I guess that was the biggest nightmare when I was a kid, was I don't want to end up just doing it on the weekends. So I don't know. That's a back and forth-ish kind of thing. You never really know. I guess what I'm trying to say is life tends to work out either way, as long as you keep your loved ones close and you stay just being happy. Some people are they're fine not continuing art as a career, but they still can afford, they can afford life, right? Like, art requires a lot of sacrifice that most people just are, it's not good for that kind of sacrifice. Thankfully, that construction finally subsided. So this was my Moonlight composition idea. I think in the future, we'll probably try to have a combination of that tone that I had before, but still have a drawing underneath. There's still more that I can figure out with this. For one, I don't really like the scratchiness of this, especially on my brushes. But yeah, don't live life regretting the past. Instead, try to think about the things that you can be more grateful of. Friends, family, you know, whatever car that you were able to have, opportunities, experiences, traveling. You don't get to have those things with, sometimes doing what you love requires sacrificing almost everything you can imagine, so it's a double-edged sword. Always be thankful for what you were able to have and to achieve in life. It always comes at a cost. No, mine didn't have business of art. No. It was, so my art education can be split into two. Art college, which I didn't finish. College-wise, I finished with a math degree, but college-wise, I went to, for art school, I went to MICA in Baltimore way back when, long time ago, like 2010, 2009, 2010. And I left, though I made really good friends there. I left to go study at a studio in Caminati in Philadelphia. And that's where I learned more of the technical side of what you see me do here. We're going to put a necklace over here. Yeah, that's where I learned more of the technical stuff, was studio in Caminati. And now, at the time, they didn't have like the business side of it. And I remember one specific example was Leona Shanks, Nelson Shanks' wife. He was the superstar artist that founded Studio in Caminati. His wife was kind of giving a talk about, like, I was taking one of her classes, and she was talking about how, kind of in a negative way, just how, like, it's just not gonna work. Like, how, like, you're better off doing something else. Like, and I think she was just having, like, a bad day or something. I'll never forget that day. I walked outside of the classroom all quiet, and then I just ran, like, for, I want to say, like, 30 minutes straight, like, circles around the streets of Philadelphia, because I was so stressed. And then eventually came back and finished whatever I was doing for the class. So, there's a lot of, like, negativity, but focusing on what we can do, I think, is more important, and sometimes it's harder to focus on that. And this is whatever weird necklace she's wearing. Yeah, all of our experiences do make us who we are. That's true. No, it wasn't a he. It was she, Leona Shank, Nelson's wife. But she wasn't talking to me specifically. She was talking to the class. And I kind of knew it at the time, because I was the only like person under, I don't know, I was like 19 years old or something like that back then. Everybody else already had some kind of career. They were lawyers or pharmacists. I remember there was a pharmacist there. But nowadays, I do see a lot more people making a career out of this, especially with YouTube. I barely make it through with YouTube. Barely. And without my wife Lucy, I wouldn't even be here doing the videos. But besides all the sad story stuff, I mean, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to keep going. And, you know, this painting might have to represent that. It's an ugly painting. It's not so great. It hasn't been defined to a higher level like the other ones. It's an ugly painting. But I guess what it kind of can aspire to is what we can do in life when we really put our all into it. Oh, thanks, Hansel Dog. It's really about what we can do despite the adversities in life. You just keep pushing. You keep on fighting as much as you can. And the good news is, really, there's no right way to do it. There's no, like, it's not like trying to be a lawyer or a doctor or something, and you have to pass your medical exams and you have to pass the MCAT or whatever, but there's so many different ways you can go about in art. Yeah, John, if you can, like, if you can allocate the time to do it, definitely do it. I mean, to take classes at an atelier. Feel free to ask me which atelier. I'm not sponsored by anybody, so I can tell you if it's good or not, if it's worth the money, or I'd have to research it myself. Yeah, you just gotta push through sometimes. No, I feel like it's ugly. I don't know. I had an idea in mind for this painting, and it kind of didn't work out. I don't even like that necklace thing. I had an idea in mind with this one, but didn't quite work. And honestly, I think this is too small of a canvas for this painting. I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to sign it, and it's still going to be a thing. But it might be the Ugly Duckling in the series. But it's okay. I mean, there's going to be worse ones later. There's going to be better ones. I don't have like the feeling from this one that I had with the other ones. Yeah, get rid of that necklace. Though I'm happier with the wolf. I think the wolf is... I'm about to just jump right back into painting the wolf. I don't really care too much about the rest of it. But the wolf. Let's paint the wolf. With whatever time is left. We've got like 30 something minutes, so I'm just gonna paint the wolf. A little bit more for the wolf. Well, I'll continue the painting. It's not going to be like in the past, where in the past I would have wiped this painting out by now. But with this series, I understand it's more than just what I think about it. It's about how can I market it. It's about, what does this painting mean to me, and how can I make it portray something to others. But we have to be sincere and honest with ourselves. As sometimes things don't work out in a painting the way we want them to. And like Bob Ross says, we don't make mistakes, we make happy accidents. But I'm going to tell you, we do make mistakes. But the happy accident is that we're still painting. That's the happy accident. We're still painting. In real life, in real painting, we do make mistakes. But the happy part is we get to keep painting. Despite how we feel about it, it's a job. Like, art is work. As much as we don't want to think about it that way, art is work. That's why they call it artwork. That's a job. Like, sometimes you just don't feel it, but you do it anyway. It's a job. That's part of it. You just push on. It's a job. And I don't want to portray like a sense of a fake illusionistic world to you, where a career artist is always going to do something that they love to do, and it's always going to work out well. Sometimes it's going to be not so good. But the important thing is you keep doing it. That's the important thing. Yeah, I did have an idea in the beginning to put something above her head to the left, but it kind of wouldn't fit with the main diagonal. It wouldn't fit with the main diagonal of the composition. And trust me, I've met plenty of people in art classes and painting groups that had a happy life, successful career in whatever they did. But they went to art school, or at least had interest in art when they were young, but they wanted to have a family and all that stuff. And once they retired, they went full time into the art. And they're happy. So that's fine. It's not fine for me, but it's not for me personally, but for others, if that works, that works. Yeah, Gigi, it is work. No, for me, Celeste, and for everybody that's wondering what's wrong with the painting, it's not a technical thing. It's really not a technical one. It's more. It just doesn't feel right. A lot of art is. What does it feel like to you? To me, it feels like something here is not not good. And even if I painted it poorly, on a technical level, I'd rather paint poorly on a technical level, but still have a painting that just feels right, than a painting that's painted technically okay, but it doesn't feel right. It doesn't have that certain something extra. And it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's not something to fight. It's just something you're just going to know. If you have experience doing several years of painting, you're going to know sometimes there's that one painting that doesn't feel right, and it's never going to feel right, or maybe it'll feel right later. Like someone mentioned, like I'll look at this a week from now and think, oh, this is my favorite painting, but maybe not. Nose of the wolf may be long, but again, it's not a technical thing. It's not a technical thing. Yeah, and my degree is in math. I got a BS in math, and I met some really good friends there too. And at the time, I thought maybe I would pursue a master's in math and maybe try to be some kind of professor or something, but something always drew me back to painting. I don't know. Something always brought me back. I mean, yeah, I could be the background, who knows, but I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is sometimes things aren't 100%. I guess because art is this thing that, I don't know, we always think about it as this ideal world. You know, we paint our world, like Bob Ross would say. But sometimes there's turbulence in that world. And that's okay too. You might be right, John. Oval might make more sense. I mean, it would crop this part of the ear. I can sell prints that are oval, and if the background's the problem, I can change that digitally. I'm gonna be making products of these paintings. So whatever is not working out with the painting, I can always just edit it later digitally and sell prints of it with the changes. The wolf could be howling, yeah. Yeah, I thought that too. With the addition of the wolf. And yeah, like some kind of seance. Like she's some kind of magician of some sort. And maybe the problem is that I don't do too many narrative paintings with some kind of magic looking things. It could just be that. And I'm just not used to it. Could be many things. Oh, no worries, Gigi. Yeah, maybe something darker for the seascape. Just for the watery part. It's too light. Yeah, art is subjective. Like I'm not saying this is gonna be terrible. It's just it's not one of the ones that has that sort of feel to it. And remember, I said before that when someone's critiquing the work, if they use the word feel, look out, right? But I don't mean this in the sense of a technical critique of any sort. It's just that this one, it could be that the subject matter is something I'm so not used to. Could be the case. Let's put this rock back here. Could be that it's just something I'm not used to. And I guarantee you Bob Ross felt that way too. He just didn't mention it. Every painter feels that way about something, and then they end up liking it later. So it's not an end-all for the painting in any means. I have had several paintings that I didn't like initially, and then they ended up being my favorite ones. I mean, ones that I did. Sometimes that doesn't happen. So I'm just sharing a little bit of the real life stuff. Maybe stuff you don't want to hear. Yeah, she could be capturing the light. And of course, I mean, this is a make-believe background, so I can change stuff. I can push the... I'm gonna push the dark. I'll push the dark. Kind of like an oval. Kind of like an oval. We'll use John's idea of the oval. Kind of like an oval. Let's see. She's a magician of some sort. They're looking at a UFO. Could be. Yeah, vignette, I guess in a photography sense. So it's a vignette in a photography sense. In a painting sense, the vignette is the stuff that's left unfinished to complement the finished stuff. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. So they're kind of oval-like in a subtle way. This kind of ovally shape. And again, these kind of things can be adjusted digitally. So from a marketing standpoint, you really do have to consider the digital applications of your paintings. To those of you that are also thinking about, how to do something extra with your paintings. Graduated magna. Oh, wow. Alrighty. Okay, so we have this little subtle oval-like thing over here, and of course it has to happen in there. When I graduated college, I was just happy to graduate. I mean, I didn't do terribly, but I wasn't, bright enough to just go take the GRE and get straight to masters. But I knew that I was going to get back to art at some point. I just didn't want that to take too long. And I was always painting on the weekends and on the evenings. That was around the time that I met Lucy, and she motivated me to paint. Kind of feel sorry for Lucy, but she motivated me to get, continue it and to really do something with it. I think I know what it is that's been bothering me with this one. And I think it's that it would work quite well as a bigger painting. And I think the fact that I made it so small, 1620 is not that small, but still it's small for a painting like this one. Because I know that I can add so much more detail to like this and this. It could be just the size. So perhaps I need to plan a little bit differently with the paintings in this series. If I'm going to do something like this, then I probably should consider that it would take a bigger canvas. Maybe had I drawn this out a little bit more carefully. Oh, thanks, John. Hopefully you'll make it to more of these live streams so you can save me from my compositional blunders. But you know, I think that's what it is. I think if this was a bigger one, I'd have a little bit more room, especially like with the face. And even if the background ended up not having as much detail, at least it would, I don't know, it would kind of make more sense to me. Yeah, I think that's what it was. That's what it was. So perhaps with this series, whenever I have a composition that's like this, a tad bit more involved, maybe I need to allocate a little bit more time with the drawing and with the canvas. I think that's what it is. Oh, no problem, John. No problem. There's always going to be typos on the computer. It's all good. Well, 2 parts of the mystery are solved now. Yeah, I'd say that's definitely 2 parts of the mystery. Because yesterday's was similar, but the face was bigger and there was less with the environment. But we can't always paint portraits or paintings like that because it's pretty much just a face with like somewhat of a background. Eventually we want to be able to paint a face with a background. The thing is, it might end up taking more time. Yeah, water with the moonlight. I kind of know what it needs. I just haven't added it in there. For example, for a second, just flatten this out, leaving the top. Because in the nighttime, we wouldn't actually be able to see all this. So forcing it onto us is probably not a good idea. Yeah, there would be a hint of clouds in the sky with some little traces of stars. Yeah. No, it wouldn't be too cliche. I haven't thought of it. But I know that we wouldn't be able to see too much detail in the water. I know there would be a glimpse of light. And never mind what a reference would have, but I know that this is what we would likely see with our own eyes. A photograph can capture much more because it can take in more light. But again, that's why it's more difficult to paint from a photograph. And of course there'd be the little waves of light. I'm almost thinking of just doing transfer drawings for these, to be honest. I might just do that. Maybe draw it way ahead of time and think a little bit more about the tone, the ground that I'll have on the canvas. But yeah, I think you all were right. I think that background was a little too offensive before. I think it was a little too offensive. That seems to make more sense. I think. Yeah, it makes more sense. And this light is just too light. That's funny. It was offensive. That background light was. The background was it was a little out there. But that fixed a major thing, especially the water. I'm gonna have to name this one after John and Celeste. saving this one. John and Celeste, save this one. Maybe we'll name it John and the Celestial Sky. Maybe we'll name this one after the two of you. It really did make a difference. You see, I don't always have all the answers, so it's great to have all of you here. Yeah, I think this one has been saved. Yeah, this one has been saved. Let me make sure I paint the bottom of this. So we'll say that the wolf's name is John, and the celestial sky is the celestial sky, named after Celeste. You wouldn't know that's water behind her. Oh, who knows what it is? It is what it is, but compositionally, at least, it's a little better. This one has been brought out of the brink of. You know, honestly, I think my worst of the series is the first one. I haven't spoken too much about the first one in the series, but I really didn't paint much of a face in that one. In the very first one, there was a decent sense of light. And you just have to see the first one of the series to know what I'm talking about. The very first one. This one is still light years ahead of that one. And I want it to be realistic, but I don't want to get too realistic with it. Because again, to create products of this, prints and all that, to me it doesn't make too much sense for it to be so realistic. Other ones I'll paint more with more realism. You know, if the main subject is just a face. I'm kind of coming up with my own kind of look. Trying to, at least. Yeah, this is definitely a departure from that. We just put the sun on vacation. The sun is just kind of taking a rest somewhere. The sun is definitely just taking a vacation. Oh, I'm glad you like the doggy, the little wolf doggy. Slight blue tone to suggest the water. Yeah, that's possible. There really wouldn't be that many little hints of little ripples in the water. Gotta be kind of still water. Not too much. No, not the woman smelling the rose. No, the first one was a model with a fan. I think that's the one you were referring to. I was rusty at that point when I started that, or when I did that one. But still, it's the first of the series, so it should have its. It should still have its moments. Okay, a little bit more for the water. Though it may not be enough, but at least it's something. Okie dokie. Well, this has been kind of a little bit of a roller coaster ride with this painting. I think, for better or for worse, I think we can sign it. Again, the paintings in this series are, they're meant to be done in a day or 2 days for me. Of course, in an accelerated format. I may work on it a little bit tonight or tomorrow morning, but it is what it is. What is the dark brown stroke under the wolf's muzzle? Is it what you would call offensive? Under the wolf's muzzle. Oh, that it's supposed to be this, but I can lighten it a little bit. Could be somewhat offensive, we never know. Let me get the right brush for that. That's a good idea to create a slideshow of the ones in the series. This is the 21st, or I guess we'll just call it the 20th because one of them was a watercolor, and maybe we won't consider the watercolor part of the series, but I can create a slideshow, but a lot of them are actually already hanging up on the wall, and they're wet. I'm hanging them up on the wall just so they don't get damaged. So the only ones that I have on hand are the smaller ones. It's kind of interesting to look at a smaller one in comparison to the bigger one. This is one of the smaller ones. Does anybody remember this painting? You can definitely tell a difference, I guess, with the level of detail versus what we have with the bigger ones. That's just one of them. The other ones are, one of my favorite ones of the series is this one. With the sunlight. This is one of my favorite ones, but look how small it is compared to the bigger one. But you see, this is what I'm used to, is this kind of light. So this kind of evening type light I'm not as familiar with. So that's just a couple of them. I won't pick up the bread, the classical bread still life, because I don't want to accidentally get paint on it. Offensive is a good word in talking about a painting. That's just to show a few of them. But yeah, this has been pretty fun. Again, I think maybe a tad bit more space, especially for the face and the hands. With a composition like this, in hindsight, I probably should have just cropped it here. And it would have been kind of similar to the other ones. But it's always a learning experience. All right, we'll sign this one now. For better or for worse, we'll sign it. Tomorrow should be a landscape or a face, a standalone face or a landscape. We haven't really done a standalone face yet in this series. I don't think. Alright, we're going to sign it on the bottom. Probably sign it. I'm going to sign it. Where am I going to sign it? I'm going to sign it right here. Oh, right, the one with the ears. Yeah, these have been pretty fun so far. This one was a roller coaster for sure. I'm always so hopeful when I sign these things. I hope maybe one day I'll see it in a frame in a gallery or sold somewhere. It's a fun experience, this one. Had its ups and downs. But this will be titled John and the Celestial Sky. Let's call it the Celestial Light. Let's change it to light. Because there's a light coming from here. John is the wolf. The wolf John, considering this value here to be offensive. And the Celestial Light. That's what it's going to be. John and the Celestial Light. And you said the congressman kept using the word relentless. Oh, thanks, Gigi. Alright, I haven't done a self-portrait yet in the series. That might be kind of offensive if I do a self-portrait in the series. We'll see. The brushes are going to go in the jar of linseed oil until they are needed again. Again, don't do that. Preserve your brushes by properly cleaning them. I just do that because I have to. And just like clockwork, there's Lucy calling me. So that is all the time I've got for you all today. So hopefully you enjoyed this painting. Remember, the schedule is Monday through Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much for all of your support, all of your comments, super chats, Venmos, liking the video, commenting, all that stuff. Thank you all so much. Again, I wish you the very best, and I'll see you on the next one.